Hey, and welcome to another installment of Catching Up with Chris, Jake, and Sam. I'm Sam,
I'm Chris.
I'm Jake.
and it's been a pretty relatively uneventful week, personal wise. But there's been some announcements. We earlier talked about Benedict Cumberbatch maybe being Doctor Strange, and now he's officially Doctor Strange. We'll see how he does with all that. They've announced that the series following Daredevil on Netflix is going to be Jessica Jones, who had, for those of you who don't know, Jessica Jones was a character created by Brian Bendis, who wrote Daredevil for like a long time and is currently writing the X-Men for Marvel. And he had created this character that kind of retroactively fit in Marvel Comics history, kind of like how Doctor Who, they injected Clara into Doctor Who history in the season 7 finale. The difference is that Jessica Jones had allegedly been there all along, like she was a classmate of Peter Parker's, and that, gets superpowers too, because apparently everybody from that graduating class in Forest Hill, Queens, fucking gets superpowers.
It's just a dangerous place to live.
Apparently, I always thought...
I've been there, so...
To Forest Hills?
Yeah.
Have you seen Peter Parker's house?
No, but I do hear that it's a legitimate address, and I don't know if it's true anymore, but for a time was lived in by a family of the surname Parker.
There you go. So, yeah, she gets these powers and becomes a superhero and ends up, there's some sort of traumatic event, and she ends up, giving up the flights and tights and becoming a private investigator for superheroic or superpowered crime. And I feel like that's the direction they're going to take the series. Kind
of like how Gotham is like police procedural. It might be like a PI, like detective show.
Yeah, kind of like I don't know,
like a Sherlock-y kind of thing where
Magnum PI
in
the Marvel universe. But yeah, and it's Kristen Ritter from Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23.
Yes. Not
my brother always referred to it as, not always, not like he watched the show, but I remember one time my sister and I watched the pilot when it aired because Kristen Ritter had a stint on Gilmore Girls, and so we were like, let's check it out. And so we watched the pilot, and we were talking about it at dinner or something. And my brother was like, that show Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 27. I was like, the whole point is it's supposed to rhyme, so you kind of missed it.
Yeah, I'm trying.
A couple doors down.
I'm racking my brain trying to think of like what he might have like confused it with to think that it was 27.
Well, he's not like pop culture and like with TV shows, so he just knew that it was the letter B was in it, and it was a number, and it was in the 20s. So he picked poorly.
He chose poorly.
He did, and so yeah, I like Kristen Ritter, and there was kind of a resurgence for me with her because as you guys might have heard a while back, we had the Six to Heisenberg episode where I started Breaking Bad. And she shows up on... It's
actually one of our most popular, one of our most highly downloaded episodes.
Is it? Yeah, nice. Yeah. And she shows up on season 2. I was like, oh, great. Kristen Ritter, I've liked her before, and she's more in a dramatic role in that one. She's obviously more kind of funny and comedic in Gilmore Girls. And if you've seen Breaking Bad, it's some rough shit.
It's tragic. Nobody comes out of Breaking Bad.
No, but that episode, I think... involving her. I don't want to spoil it for people, but there's a certain episode with her. Mm-hmm. I think it's still the most disturbed that an episode's ever left me of Breaking Bad.
I agree.
Like still, and it's been like months since I finished that show.
For me, that's the turning point with Walt.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's cool to see her get because she hadn't Don't Trust the Bee has since been like canceled.
Yeah, it lasted 2 seasons, but it was weird because it was doing pretty well when it started out, kind of like a fresh take on stuff, and. I saw the pilot and that was it, and then I started watching it on Netflix again because it's a fun show to have on in the background, and she plays this kind of like
she's a bee.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say like toxic character, but there's she's good. She's the runaway star of it. James Vanderbeek plays himself. He's kind of funny. But that was kind of a thing, you get these actors playing themselves in exaggerated roles, and he was like kind of the end of that.
Yeah, I feel like it started with Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. And the first Harold and Kumar film, sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was reading about, I guess it's going to be, is it AKA Jessica Jones?
That's the given title.
The title, yeah, because I supposedly, I guess ABC a couple years ago was going to have a show, and it was going to be called AKA Jessica Jones, and I think the same showrunner is involved. So it's kind of cool that like even though it didn't work out with ABC, they're going to be, do it on Netflix, after Daredevil, I guess. So it's cool. I mean, it's
supposed to premiere the same, by the end of 2015.
We were talking about the movies coming up, and like, man, 2015, we got a hell of a year with movies.
I mean, it does belong to the Mads.
It does belong to the Mad, and so we were thinking about it as we were going on, and we're like, wait a second, just until 2020. I mean, we have so much coming up, movies and animated films and TV shows, and it's incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we know the movie that's following Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice is going to be a Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah,
starts filming in April. They just announced the cast this week.
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith is Deadshot.
Yep.
Margot Robbie from The Wolf of Wall Street is going to be Harley Quinn to Jared Leto's Joker. We've got Tom Hardy, who
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Jake's all about that. Tom Hardy. He's the band's field leader. Rick Flag. Yeah.
When they announced Tom Hardy, I had just heard Suicide Squad and Tom Hardy was confirmed. The first thing I thought was, because I'm not super familiar with the Suicide Squad, I thought he was going to be Deadshot.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was it.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from Will Smith, but that's the immediate thing that popped in my head. But yeah, I mean, I think the big news first was kind of the Joker. Like we're getting the Joker, and then and they were getting a Suicide Squad movie because, I guess John Ostrander, who kind of, I guess, reinvented the Suicide Squad.
He was really the guy that wrote it. Yeah, the guy that you're talking. We've talked about great comic book runs, and I think you've talked about Ostrander's Spectre.
Spectre, yeah. If I haven't, I mean, but but it's that's what got him on my radar was that run.
I would actually argue Ostrander's best work and one of the best runs in comics is Ostrander's Suicide Squad.
Oh, I feel like that's what he's known for.
I was a big fan. I unfortunately my mind was a little elsewhere a minute ago, so I apologize if I'm gonna say exactly what you guys just said. But I really liked the new 52 Suicide. Is that
no?
where
I mean,
Ostrander was or
no. It was like in the early 90s.
Okay, because I really enjoyed the new up until when Harley Quinn got her own book. I was reading the new 52 Suicide Squad, and like for the most part, I found that to be pretty enjoyable. Near the part where she branched off and got her own solo thing, like it started to kind of get weird. And
God, I mean, the series ended up getting replaced a couple months ago by new Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it's like
and like she's back in it, but she still has her solo book. I haven't checked it out since her solo book, and her solo book's been great.
Yeah, just the adventures of Harley Quinn, like when she's not like with Suicide Squad or the Joker. But yeah, I mean, it's a really cool. I mean, and David Ayer, the guy that directed Fury.
Oh yeah.
He's and Training Day or not Training Day? Fuck, that's Anton Fuqua.
Fuqua.
Fuqua. I can't spin that anywhere. I'm sorry, guys. But David Ayer, the guy.
No, he did.
Did he do Training Day?
According to IMDb, or he was attached to it. I don't know if he directed it.
Dothman.
Let's look at director here.
Yeah.
No, he did End of Watch.
He just wrote it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, either way, David Ayer, you don't.
But he was attached to Training Day,
and it's just not.
Oh, and he was attached to Fast and the Furious.
But
he wrote the screenplay. Sorry.
but you just that's not a movie that you would associate him with, a comic book movie, right? Especially coming off the heels of Fury.
Yeah.
This really brutal World War II actioner. And all of a sudden he's like doing I assume that means Suicide Squad is going to live up to its name. It's going to be really a dark, brutal film. Could it?
I mean, honestly,
with
like
Harley
if
Quinn
they were like, "Hey, David Ayer is going to be doing a DC movie," and they put down the slate until 2020, I would pick Suicide Squad. But like, it's still like you're saying, it's not necessarily. You think you go from Fury, which we're talking about like as the year winds down, like a top 10 movies. That might be in my top 3. Still. Yeah, I mean, it's maybe he's like, this is, the one no one, not a lot of people know about the Suicide Squad. They got a cool name,
and it looks like he's helping write it too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, why not?
It's maybe are they trying to duplicate Marvel's success with Guardians of the Galaxy, kind of this unknown, like
I think so.
super team?
I think so. They have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suicide Squad definitely would be their Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think the big thing, I mean, obviously the big things were Will Smith's Deadshot, and there's going to be a Joker, and it's going to be Jared Leto, though, based on what I've heard, everybody seems pro Jared Leto.
Yeah, it's funny, like, when like, the tease first started coming out before the official announcement, like, it felt like I was reading a whole bunch of people go, come on, guys, give it a chance, but I wasn't actually seeing a whole lot of people be negative about it. And I was like, go for it. Like I had just watched Mr. Nobody, which was an amazing performance by Jared Leto, and not necessarily like, oh yeah, this guy would totally like, this role is fits a Joker role, but he's a great actor, and I'm pro Jared Leto.
I saw a lot of people going, oh, it wasn't that it's Jared Leto, but it was like, oh, we're casting the Joker already, or why the Joker in Suicide Squad? Why are we bringing the Joker into this? And I remember thinking,
that is
like,
a little weird.
But I remember thinking, like, you don't. What are you going to retire the Joker from movies? I mean,
I think the big thing. I mean, for me, the big thing is one, we're seeing an incarnation of the Joker because new continuity, not starting a Batman movie.
Yeah.
Starting in and also, Joker is probably. Is the least likely to... He's not a team player.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, who even knows, like, is he going to be showing up in the movie a lot? Or they're like, hey, Jared Leto's the Joker, Harley Quinn's in it, he's going to show up, the Joker, and then spin off in this, is he even part of the Suicide Squad?
Or maybe he's just going to have, like, a side role as, like, someone who is attached to Harley Quinn, and Harley Quinn's a big part of the Suicide Squad now, so, like, sure, she's going to be part of the squad, but, like, he's just kind of like a peripheral character, and then maybe later on as they build the universe, he'll be, like, a villain in some movie, or maybe he's the villain of this movie.
Maybe he's the Suicide Mission. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he is the suicide to the squad.
Well, then it wouldn't be self-inflicted. But the rumor is Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor might show up, post Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
Jay Courtney is Captain Boomerang, and he's had a big week. In addition to being announced for officially,
we're tying it in so well. All the
yeah. I kind of I'm
we're doing well done.
Thank you.
Before anyone really knows what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Just compliment Sam.
Yeah, it would have gone much more seamlessly. But
way to go, Jake. God.
Jay Courtney's had a big week. He just got announced to be Captain Boomerang for the Suicide Squad, and he's Kyle Reese in Terminator Genisys, which just dropped its first trailer this week. What did you guys think of it?
I'm super excited for like Terminator in general. So like I was really hyped, and I was like, ooh, they're launching the trailer. Let me check this out. Like it wasn't the same on the same lines as a Star Wars trailer where I was like, I need to see this in the theater. But I was really excited to see the trailer. So like I hopped on my computer and I looked it up, and I sat there and watched it, and just. Like for people that have seen the trailer, you probably know what what I'm gonna refer to, but like the just the fact that like it looks like right from the get go, as soon as Kyle Reese goes back in time, like it's like timelines are converging on themselves, and like Sarah Connor already knows about the Terminator, and shit's like it looks like there's gonna be like multiple Arnolds, and T-1000. And I was just like, oh my god, it looks like a mess of the timelines just collapsing in on themselves, and I'm super excited to see if they can pull that off, because like one of the big things that gets played with a lot in time travel movies and shows is that like if you fuck with the timeline enough, you're going to just fuck time. Doctor Who's done that a whole bunch of times.
Age of Ultron.
Yeah, and I am
the comics, not the movies.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows what the movie's gonna do? But yeah, like I am super excited to see if they can do that, justice. Especially since like there's already kind of a precedence for it, because each Terminator movie kind of starts out with like, oh, well, what happened in the last movie completely stopped something from happening. So now the future, and therefore the present, is different.
Right.
So like if you're paying attention to the storylines of the movies, you're already prepared for something like this, where like, oh, canon means nothing. and it's exciting for a big fan of time travel like I am.
Jake, I feel like you're going to present a counterpoint.
My immediate thought was, one, it looks like a video game cutscene, and two, is this going to suffer from is it a prequel, sequel, reboot, remake? We don't know, so we're not going to actually say whether it is or not thing.
Superman Returns syndrome?
Yeah, Superman Returns, Prometheus syndrome. I like Jason Clarke a lot, the guy playing John Connor, future John Connor. He was in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which was awesome. I'm interested to see where it goes. I mean, it's a Terminator movie. I remember watching it. A lot of people were looking over my shoulder and were like, oh, I'm not even going to bother this shit. But I was like, hey, even if I rip on it, I mean, it's Terminator. I got to see it. There's definitely cool moments. Arnold is obviously going to have a bigger role than he's had. I mean, he wasn't really even in 4, I mean, they have like that CG shot of him or like the skin going over top.
Yeah.
They're asking, a lot of people were asking about, if you listen to the Nerdist podcast with him, about his physique and how is he going to replicate the Terminator look. And he said one of the things is that, the skin that the Terminators wear ages, and the exoskeleton is the same bulk, and so that's a way that they get around like the maybe not looking as jacked as young Arnold has looked. And then of course, I'm blanking on her name, but Daenerys from
Emilia Clarke.
Yeah, thank you. From Game of Thrones. I'm interested to see her.
What was really funny is like
Sarah Connor.
Yeah, what was really funny is like while I was watching the trailer, I was like, wait, is that Sarah, like the original Sarah Connor right there? Like, no, that's Emilia Clarke, and she just really in like the quick scenes that she was in, she looked a lot like
Linda Hamilton.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's insane about her? I had a dream where she was Daenerys, and she showed up, and she told me to watch the first season of Game of Thrones. And I did, and that's all I've ever watched of Game of Thrones. She never returned and tell me to watch season 2.
Yeah. You fulfilled a dream.
She's one of my like 2 or 3 favorite characters in that show.
Yeah. I think to your point, Jake, I do think the action, and of course, like in any trailer, you're just gonna get like FX shots that aren't at this point are kind of derivative. I feel like in terms of where they're going, like I think it's gonna kind of be like a soft reboot / sequel, and that they kind of acknowledge all the time travel stuff that's happened, but like, hey, Skynet's somehow sending more shit into the past because how does this? And then time
kind of the Star Trek, the J.J. Abrams Star Trek, where it kind of was a sequel but a reboot at the same time because of time travel. I
feel like that, so there will still be like a prime Terminator timeline, and then we'll see divergences because of all Chris was saying, all the time travel abuse to the space-time continuum. That's what fractures it.
I feel like in the quick, not even 2 minutes that they showed, like they kind of teased that idea, specifically with the fact that Emilia Clarke, Sarah Connor, was like
raised by a Terminator, basically.
Yeah, it's like, oh hey, you're Kyle Reese, you're back from the future. Here, hop in. Come with me if you want to live.
Yeah. Nice flip the script there.
Yeah.
Conceptually, I'm interested to see it, but I'll certainly agree with like the action. Though there are some scenes with like, honestly, one of the first R-rated movies I ever saw was Terminator 2. And which I'm sure all three of us will kind of agree is like the best Terminator film so far.
Yeah.
And seeing a T-1000, seeing that liquid metal, I was just like, that just brought me back to little kid Sam seeing R-rated movies for the first time.
There was that weird shot where like he makes his arm like a giant
and then
knife,
like,
and he
breaks
cuts it off
and then throws it like a javelin.
Yeah. And in the time that it cuts off, it elongates to be even a longer shard of metal that he throws.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff's cool. So the T-1000 now has projectile attacks that aren't guns. Why doesn't he just turn his hand into a gun?
Because it's too complex of a machine. He can't do it,
yeah.
And he can't do the chemical reaction of gunpowder firing.
Well done.
Boom. Hold on, let me grab my mic so I can drop it, and then not do that because that damages mics.
Right.
Never drop a mic.
But so
this is a PSA.
If Terminator 2 is the high point, what's the low point?
Now, see, Sam, that's a tough question, and I've actually been racking my brain on that for quite some time because I think we can all agree that the two weakest movies are Terminator 3 and Terminator Salvation.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I honestly can't decide which one is, like, quote unquote the worst out of those two. Partially, I think, because it's been so long since I've seen those two movies. Like, I think it was I want to say that I saw them both in theaters, and that was the last time I saw either one. So that's 10-ish years for Terminator 3 and like probably about 5 years for Salvation.
I feel like that's about it, yeah.
But I think if I were going to choose one, I would probably go with 3. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people...
Choose one for worst?
Yeah, for worst. Sorry. I would go with 3, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people hamming and hawing, if that's the right term, about that, just because like Salvation didn't really have time travel, so therefore people like have like I've heard a lot of people bitching about that being not like a quote unquote real Terminator movie just because there's no time travel in it. But I want to say that the thing that messed up Terminator Salvation more than anything else is the marketing, where they introduced Sam Worthington's character as a Terminator in the trailer.
Yeah, they give it away where he kind of like he gets his shirt ripped open, he looks down and screams. Yeah.
And then you're watching the movie and you're like, they get to that scene and you're like, oh, I wasn't supposed to know he was a Terminator. Wow, this movie would have been so much better had this been a surprise.
Apparently Christian Bale, like he was doing press for Exodus, Gods and Kings, and somebody brought up Terminator Salvation. They were like, McG originally, who directed Salvation, had to basically beg you to jump on because you were interested in doing a Terminator film, but you didn't feel that, McG, he was like, yeah, I told McG that I didn't think he had the pedigree or the work under his belt to, be able to handle a Terminator movie, because the biggest thing he had done at that point, directing-wise, was the
Charlie's Angels movies, right?
That was, yeah, exactly it.
And Supernatural, the TV show?
Yeah. But
he was just a producer on that.
Yeah, and he produced the OC as well. But so he was like, look, I'm not that... You've been in a place, Christian, where you haven't had like a certain amount of work to be considered for, say, more serious or more ambitious roles. This is my chance. Please give me a chance, and, we'll make this work. And so the interviewer was like, so would you ever work with him again? And Christian Bale kind of hesitates, and he's like, look, he's, got his own thing going, and I respect that, but no, I think I'm just going to do my own thing.
That gives a little bit of backstory to that soundbite that came out where he was yelling about the light guy. Like, I kind of get it a little bit more now, like, with
this underlying frustration.
Yeah, because now, like, I can be like, oh, so Christian Bale, not only was he just upset that someone like messed up the shot, but now he's also pissed off that he's like, I
trusted this guy.
Yeah, I trusted this guy, and I told him up front that I thought he was a little too amateur for this, and he's proving himself.
Well, he even yells in the thing like, McG, you're going to do something about this.
Yeah.
Come on, McG.
Yeah. Now, Jake, which of the two would you say is
I'm going to agree with Chris. I'm going to go with 3 as the worst of the bunch, because I actually think the non-time travel is a pro for 4, because it's not the same shit.
Yeah, it didn't.
We
need
finally
to be the
get a
exact
movie
same
set
thing.
in that future, and we get to see that as opposed to just a flashback. Because we've seen it in 3 other movies at that point. Like 3 was bringing nothing new to the table. It was bringing Arnold back again, which I mean is great because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. But it was bringing Arnold back again, and it was, there should have never been anything after 2 because obviously the whole point is like they're showing the road and the future is ours kind of thing to make our own. But if you're going to do it, then do the one that deals with the war. Don't just do basically a crappy carbon copy, as you would say, Chris, of the previous one.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going like, 4 is like the shit. It's awesome, because it's not. It's okay. But
at least it tried something different.
It tried something different. That's the main reason I give it ups over 3s, because it tried something different. It didn't do the same, try to do the same thing as 4. I mean 3 even has like the liquid kind of thing again. I mean this time the woman can make
well, it's a
hybrid.
Yeah, it's kind of like a regular endoskeleton for like the Arnold Schwarzenegger type Terminator.
Yeah.
But it's also got the liquid metal exo skeleton over top of it, like the
But can create like weapons, like actual weapons.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like,
she could actually have like projectile guns and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
and I remember like in 3, they do the CG on Arnold's face as opposed to the
because he was the governor. Or no, I'm sorry, no, that was Salvation.
Salvation, yeah.
yeah, no, but I mean CG
yeah,
like in the ones in past, he had this great prosthetic work on his face to have like the skeleton,
Toraway
the
skin.
classic Toraway skin, because they're always like the battle damage as you go further on. This one, I mean, it was kind of cool because like you could like obviously with the CG, it was like they could do way more with it, but again, it felt like just a carbon copy of 2, and not in a good way, because 2 is just one of those movies. I mean, we talk about clearly being the best of the franchise. It's just one of the best action movies ever made. And it's one of those things like Jurassic Park. It's aged so well, with still the special effects to this day.
Like T-1000 outdoes like so many special effects these days. In some of the lower rent
so
movies.
Impressive because like that was only like the second time they had done effects like that. Like James Cameron does this great job of doing smaller movies to like practice things on, and then using them, like applying them in big movies. Because like he did The Abyss, which is where they really tried out like that liquid metal. I mean, in The Abyss, it's just water, but it's still like these same mechanics behind it. The forming a face inside a liquid, and like there's like a little serpentine thing, and even The Abyss still looks good. But then like they figured it out, they worked all the bugs out of it, so then they put it in Terminator 2. And oddly enough, I actually just remembered this, Terminator 2 was the first time, speaking of visual graphics, they used computer graphics to digitally remove wire work. Like that big famous shot where T-1000 is in that big rig chasing John Connor through the
spillway.
Yeah, through the spillway, and Arnold is riding the bike, and he jumps off the edge and down into the spillway. That was a wire work shot. That's all practical. The motorcycle's on wires, and all the special effects guys and the cinematographers are like, "What the hell are you guys doing? Making these wires gigantic and orange? Like they should be little black ones, so it's easier to just like not see them." And the special effects guys are like, "No, we got it. We got this new trick, And it's like the first big Hollywood, big budget Hollywood movie to use digital removing instead of just like, let's hope that we don't catch it on film.
Yeah.
Like in Superman 3, it's so bad. There's one shot where you just see like 12 black lines coming off of Christopher Reeve as he's landing.
Yeah. Oh man, Superman 3. The
we could talk about that for hours.
We could tear the shit out of that movie, but and we have in previous episodes.
That's true, we have.
But I'm gonna actually I'm gonna be the man that stands alone and say that I actually prefer Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines over Terminator Salvation.
That's fine. You like Superman Returns.
I do. So. It's my favorite Superman movie. I will say it's a close. I have to think about it. Mm-hmm. Just like you guys kind of had to, I think the big draw for me is you can tell Christian Bale doesn't want to be in Terminator Salvation, and he's a big part of that film.
Yeah, it's so weird that like he's such a big part of it, but like I feel like he was barely in it.
From what I understand, originally he had a smaller role, or at least the John Connor role was smaller. And when they got an actor of Christian Bale's caliber, they beefed it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is like prime Batman time, too.
Yeah. At this point, it was between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, but so you can tell he just doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember more of that movie, surrounding that movie, than any kind of scene or critic review or anything was the fact that that's the movie that Christian Bale blew up on the set. Like, that's what followed that movie more than anything else. And so it was like, you watch that movie and you're like, oh, this is clearly the scene that pissed him off. You know what I mean? When you watch it.
Yeah, at least in like Terminator 3, you've got Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
You know, Schwarzenegger the best thespian on earth? No, but is he always entertaining? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got that going for it. There's, you know, some copious. There's a lot of fan service going on, and I know that turns some people off. They're like, you know, these aren't jokey films, and it's like, well, at this point, like, if it's not Jim Cameron directing it, I'm just gonna fucking take whatever you're gonna throw at me.
Yeah. I think another reason that movie I picked it was because it's the Terminator 3 video game is probably the most frustrating video game I've ever played in my entire life.
The regular Terminator video games for the NES kind of suck too.
I mean, but this one was like frustrating as shit. It was actually cool because you're Arnold in the game. And it's kind of thing like you lose your skin and you could end up being just this skeleton almost walking around. But it's like impossible.
I remember
it's really frustrating.
I remember the T2 game for the Genisys was really fun, but tough.
One movie I think we all can maybe
that's my contribution.
talk about for a second or two is the first one, because I feel like the first one is one that kind of is like the unsung hero of Terminator.
Yeah, it's kind of like this almost like punk rock.
Yeah,
you know,
like an indie film.
Yeah.
Well, because he even has that kind of the punk rock thing going on in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get punk rock Paxton.
I was about to say he gets his punk rock look from punk rock Bill Paxton.
And then for me, the most quoted thing that like in the entire series isn't like any line from T2. It's when he knocks on the door and he's like, "Sayakana." She's like, "Yes." He just knocks the door down and kills you. And you're like, "Oh shit!" I don't know why that's like the go-to line. My friends thought that was really funny. Yeah. And there's a guy on Twitter who's the T800.
Yeah.
And all he does is tweet girls named Sarah Connor. And he's like, Sarah Connor, like question mark, Sarah Connor. He's just, he's the T800 looking for Sarah Connor on Twitter, which is kind of funny. But it's annoying for Sarah Connor, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that lasted either, but I just saw it somewhere. I thought it was pretty funny. Yeah. I think the cool thing,
it's like when you tweet Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And then the Beetlejuice account tweets back at you.
It's showtime, yeah. It's without fail, man. And
there was
a lot of times
also a squirrel bot that would, if you ever mentioned the word squirrel, it would just be like, it would tweet back like, "Ah, my nuts."
But the thing about the first Terminator, you get a lot of the stuff that builds in terms of what would become the fan service moments from that movie, and it's pretty cool. Like I feel like it's really like the kind of the forgotten Terminator movie because it's a really good movie. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of two is in our consciousness because one, it was like an event for us when we were kids. Mm-hmm. And the first one, I thought maybe that idea of like, oh, it's older or it's not, it doesn't look as, because I think a lot of kids saw T2 before they ever saw the first Terminator movie. And so it's kind of hard to go back and watch it. But I think if you go back and watch the first Terminator movie, it's a really cool movie.
It's definitely great. Like a down and gritty movie because it was kind of an independent movie. Like that was what James Cameron was using to prove that he could direct Aliens.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's more than anything else. Like that's what it was. Yeah. Because he I feel bad because I can't remember the studio, but whatever studio it was, like kind of like put its feelers out there saying that they wanted to do a sequel to Alien, and James Cameron was like, "Oh, I've got this great idea," and they were like, "Who are you? You've directed like one movie.
You've directed Piranha 2.
You've directed Piranha 2, and you were the DP on this space movie with Sid Haig and Freddy Krueger.
Robert Englund?
Robert Englund, yes, thank you. Which, if you watch that movie, you're like, he stole a lot of ideas for like little things in Aliens, like not directly, but it's totally clear that it had a high influence, kind of like The Abyss did on the graphics for Terminator 2. That it's like Lost Galaxy or something like that.
Right.
Had a lot of influence thematically with Aliens. And I want to say like some of those rigs that the Space Marines are wearing in Aliens like are very inspired by the guys in that movie. And it's also a great movie. Check it out.
I think, come to think of it, I'm thinking about it now. I think I quote the first Terminator movie more than I quote T2. Like it
doesn't hurt that all the big lines from T2.
Well, I'm not even talking about the big lines. Like it's like I'm talking about when he's like, "Yo, it smells like a dead cat in there, man," and then it goes through like the options to think back, and he picks "fuck you, asshole," which I always thought was really funny. Also, with The Abyss, none of the actors will talk about that movie in public. the people who worked on it. They said it was like the worst experience of their life.
Really?
That was like prime, like
Yeah.
asshole Cameron face.
Well, also because like it was claustrophobic. They're dealing
Yeah.
with water,
Mm.
and like people were having nervous breakdowns.
Yeah.
And like Ed Harris was like sobbing on the set. Like
Yeah.
they won't talk about that movie.
if you can get Ed Harris to cry,
yeah, they just won't. They won't
Yeah.
talk about it.
I mean, Cameron in his own defense is like, I've kind of mellowed out over the years. I feel like, yeah.
Yeah, 2 of the top grossing movies of all time will help with that probably.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so I would say Terminator 3. I would say Terminator 3 is better than Salvation, but only not by a huge hell of a lot. And he's still totally bottom tier Terminator movie.
Yeah,
Did you guys ever watch the Sarah Connor Chronicles?
I saw the pilot.
I watched like the first half of the first season. It was good, and like there was a lot of like cool things. I loved the concept that a Terminator came back in time with a gun like sewn into his exoskeleton, because the whole thing is like only bio or only something with the reason why they come back naked is because the outermost layer has to be organic, but endoskeleton is fine. So yeah, why not pack their endoskeleton with fucking weapons? And like, it's amazing that it took them 3
had come out. At that point,
3 movies and a TV series to figure that out.
I remember that being kind of like the part of it. They're like, so is Terminator Salvation gonna recognize Sarah Connor Chronicles? And they're just like, it's kind of its own thing, because it was an independent film. It was distributed by Halicon Pictures, and that was supposed to be, the thing that really got them going, and they were going to have a whole trilogy of Terminator films, and it didn't happen because it didn't do that well.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff came out in the summer of 2009, like we were talking about J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. That came out that summer. I feel like that's what killed it, along with, was it Iron Man 2? No, it was, there was no Marvel movies in 2009, actually, interestingly enough. But yeah, that
Didn't Watchmen come out in 2009?
I think, in like March, though. That was a March release, like V for Vendetta. I think they were trying to duplicate that success.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty lackluster. That Salvation. Now, I did manage to see, I feel like I'm the only person who saw a new movie this week. I kind of had a nice personal day. I found myself with a free night.
A Sam day.
I did. I found myself with a free night, and I was just like, I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna go out and not stay inside and watch Netflix. I'm gonna go out and have a night out on the town. And night out on the town for me means getting 2 slices of pizza, going to Cinema Arts, and watching Whiplash, because me and Chris's buddy Zach says that Whiplash is like the best movie of the year. And if you don't know what it's about this student at a music conservatory, kind of like Oberlin or something, trying to become the conservatory's part of their core jazz band, and he wants to be their drummer. And that character is played by Miles Teller. If you've ever seen Project X, he's in Project X. If he's the Mr. Fantastic in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. And apparently he, used to play drums in high school, and he picked it back up for this. And it's the most, it's really fucking intense for something about as seemingly innocuous as, jazz band. I did music competitions in, high school. I was part of the guitar ensemble, and we would practice a shitload, and we would travel, and we would play, and that would be it. But, J.K. Simmons, who plays the conductor of this school's jazz band, delivers easily one of the most intense performances I've seen all year. And this is a year where we've seen Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler be delivering one of the most intense performances up until, though I think Simmons, the movie plays fucking it's about jazz band, but it plays Varsity Blues or Friday Night Lights. It's that intense and that in your face, and you're just you just feel so much pain watching this dude just practice drums until his hands are just bleeding all over the snare. It's check it out. It's one of those movies, kind of like Nightcrawler. I don't know if I'd ever. I don't know. The more I think about it, I would be more willing to watch it a repeat time instead of Nightcrawler. After me and Jake saw Nightcrawler, we both were kind of like,
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I feel like one of our go-to questions when we finish seeing a movie is like, would you own that? And we were like, no, probably not. I mean, it has nothing to do against the movie. Like, there's plenty of movies that have come out this year that I love that I won't buy.
Yeah.
Or they're not like, when they come out, I have to buy them.
Yeah. Like, I own 12 Years a Slave.
Uh-huh.
I don't really see myself being like, I think this is a good time to crack open the old 12 Years a Slave. Let's see if that's still a depressing film. Oh, yes. Yep.
Well, it's like I recently saw...
Just like I remember.
I recently saw Shame. Like, I rented it. The
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender movie. And that's one that, like, I wouldn't... I watched it again because I don't know... I still don't really know what to think about it. But I saw it the first time...
Which is also written by Steve McQueen.
Yeah. And I watched it a second time. And it's just... It's like... It's a soul-crushing movie. Like, it just rips you apart. And... I feel it's a similar thing. It's like, don't need to see that one again.
The thing about Whiplash is, like, what's his name? J.K. Simmons, who, if you don't know who that is, he played Jameson in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, Peter Parker's boss. He's the, what insurance company is that? Is that We Are Farmers?
We Are Farmers.
Yeah. So, the State Farm spokesman or whatever.
Yeah.
And he is just such a hard ass. And he's so emotionally manipulative. And the movie goes in directions you wouldn't think it would go. And it's just like it's an intense fucking ride. There was just times where I was watching it and I was getting uncomfortable because he was so... pushing these guys so hard. It was...
So it's more intense than Drumline, is what you're saying.
Absolutely more intense than Drumline.
He seems like the kind of guy that if he messes up a line or flubs, he would get super pissed off. And like if you messed up, he would just be glaring at you like, you fucked up my take. He just seems like so intense about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Though I've seen him, like, I don't know if you've ever seen the delete or gag reel from like Spider-Man or Spider-Man.
That's where I got that kind of thing. Like not that he would get mad at, like he would scream at people, but like he'd beat himself up so much about screwing up a line. You know what I mean? Where some guys kind of laugh it off, like, all right, shake it off. Where he would be like, get that part. Oh God, and kind of like, and then he's like, all right, we gotta fix it.
Well, I imagine all for a role like J. Jonah Jameson, like he had to get into a very angry mindset too. So like he's probably like it's probably half that character, half his own like pride in his acting.
Yeah, he has to get worked up.
Yeah. But like high blood pressure like a mother.
Yeah, I mean I feel like
and I'm sure it's even worse for his character in Whiplash.
Yeah. Whereas like say playing Ellen Page's dad in Juno, he was just kind of like, oh well, I guess I messed up that take. Sorry. Ivan Reitman, Jason Reitman, which whoever the fuck directed this movie.
Yeah.
But
no one's directing this movie. That's the problem.
Yeah, because in the deleted scenes for Spider-Man 2, he had fake teeth for Jameson.
Oh yeah.
Jameson's teeth are so fucking big, and so there's a take where he's like in the middle of some rant as Jameson, and his fake teeth fall out. He's just like, oh god, oh.
Yeah.
Like,
that reminds me. Speaking of hilarious bloopers. The Jaws bloopers are really funny because there's a scene where Brody's supposed to be firing his gun, like in the water when he sees Jaws swimming by, and he's like, "Here we go," and like he's hitting and like the gun won't fire, and he's like, nope, and like it kind of happens the first time, it's kind of funny. He does it again, and just won't do it, and third and fourth, and then he keeps doing it, and then he gets so Scheider gets so pissed off about it because the gun just won't fire, and then I think I mentioned they did a thing with Shaw was having to scream, the blood-curdling scream with the blood coming out of his mouth.
Yeah,
He kept flying back. It kept flying back in his face, like in his eyes. He's like, oh, no.
Oh, I'm going to be in Force 10 from Navarone. Oh, that movie sucks. Oh. It's like he knew.
I love that your impressions are so meta.
Yeah, like they. Yeah,
It's like, oh, in 5 years, I'm gonna be in this terrible movie.
yeah. I'm gonna be in a sequel from the Guns of Navarone that nobody wanted. Oh, Carl Weathers is gonna be in it. Oh God.
Yeah.
In several decades, Sam Stone is the only one that's gonna remember this movie exists.
For a while, like on AMC, whenever AMC gets the rights to broadcast a new film, they like tout it like it's like the greatest film of all fucking time. Like they have all these promos, like and I remember when they got the licensing rights to broadcast Force 10 from Navarone, and I was like, nope. Like I've seen this. I know it's one of the worst sequels of all fucking time. It's like Harrison Ford clearly doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Like we're talking actors that don't. Can you think of any other movies where it's like clear that the actor's just like, I'm just in it for the paycheck?
Ooh,
I guess
give me a
Jaws: The
second.
Revenge is the big one.
Yeah, Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Give me a second.
Yeah, but like while you guys think, like
Yeah.
Harrison Ford's is the him and Robert Shaw are the two leads in Force 10 from Navarone, and it's clear that he's just kind of like, oh, I just got to film this scene. All right, Robert Shaw do most of the dialogue. I'm just gonna kind of stand here awkwardly in the background. Thanks, cool, bye. Like that movie blows. Like I love The Guns of Navarone. It's one of my all-time favorite World War II movies. I love that kind of like squad, like special ops, like Where Eagles Dare is another one, written by the same guy, Alistair MacLean, and those movies, I fucking love those movies.
The chick that played Sheila in Army of Darkness, she was just there collecting the paycheck, and you can kind of see it in a lot of her scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I think you were saying like in the commentary for that film, like Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell are just like, man, she hated working on this fucking movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I mean, Bruce Willis in Cop Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how much detail and how often has Kevin Smith talked about his experiences directing Bruce Willis in Cop Out?
Every time, I mean, he can talk about it.
Even on the I forget which one, but one of the evenings with Kevin Smith was like shortly after Cop Out had come out. Like he starts out the thing. He's like, okay, guys. I want to be serious about this. I don't want to get off on any tangents or anything like that. I want to, just rapid fire questions. Let's go. And like the first question was, what was it like directing Bruce Willis in Cop Out? And that was the only question he answered.
Yeah, it's just at the end of it, it's just like 1Q, 1A. That's it. And somehow it goes on to a story about how it is to take a dump while smoking pot.
That cracks me up.
And like his first time like smoking pot is like a 35-year-old or something like that.
Yeah. I think he smokes it during post-production on Zack and Miri.
Yeah.
Because even though, Silent Bob, his character, and Jay are like these are drug dealers, they sell pot.
And they're stoners.
Yeah.
Like not just dealers.
Oh yeah, they smoke, they get high on their own supply.
Yeah.
Scarface.
Which is you're never supposed to do.
Yeah, rule number 1 according to Scarface, and then he gets high on his own supply.
Yeah. And that's where he loses.
Yeah, he gets like blown, his back blown out by a shotgun at the end. But Kevin Smith apparently had allegedly never smoked pot until he was working on Zack and Miri, and so he's doing post production. Of course, the star of that film is Seth Rogen, noted pothead, and he invites him into the editing room. They just get high together, and that's the first time that Seth Rogen Kevin Smith ever toked up. And he's been doing it like it's like oxygen ever since.
Oh, yeah.
Like you listen to his podcast, and he's like,
you can hear him lighting up constantly on his podcast.
Yeah, and coughing between like puffs and that sort of thing.
I do like there are a couple episodes where like he's kind of like, are you cool? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I feel like even if they said no,
he'd be like, well, fuck you. You're in my house.
Yeah. I'm gonna do it.
Sorry, Stanley.
Yeah,
I need to take a hit.
Yeah. Whoa, true believer. I never said that you had to smoke pot. But
that was actually a really good Stanley.
Years of practice. Because if there's one person that does introduce themselves in the way that I think they should, it would be, hey, true believers, I'm Stanley. We know.
I don't know if the audience is as privy to this as we are as friends, but Sam's impressions almost always start with the character introducing themselves, and it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how my impressions always start with just some like guttural like oh.
Yeah, like if I know that Jake didn't know that Jeff Bridges impressions were a thing before I started to do them. So I'm like, what the fuck, Walter? You have to kind of it's always Big Lebowski, Jeff Bridges, and you always have to sound like upset, you know. So it's always like the Chinaman isn't the issue, Walter. I'm Jeff Bridges. You know, that's the kind of like, and there's always lots of hand motions.
Yeah, no, you guys can't see, but I'm almost getting smacked with these hand motions of like kind of like a hummingbird with broken wings, kind of just flailing about, kind of like Animal playing the drums in the back of
any Muppets film. Yeah.
Well, I was trying to Dr. Teeth and the Electric.
Is that straight up the name of the band?
I want to say now I need to look it up. I'm sorry, guys.
I've watched a lot.
I should know what this is called.
Did either of you guys see the Muppets Most Wanted?
No.
No.
It didn't look that good.
Yeah.
Like the trailer didn't, you know, and I'm a huge Muppets fan. I grew up watching like Muppet Babies and the Muppet Show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, the Great Muppet Caper.
Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
That's the name of it.
I was on it except for the last word. But yeah,
Ooh,
it's
they have T-shirts.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the hippie band.
Yeah, they kind of look like the E Street Band, really.
Yeah, but yeah, the only reason why I know that is because my allergist back when I was a little kid had a poster of theirs. Actually, I think this one that Sam and I are looking at right now. This is like a cropped out version, but I want to say this is the poster that they had. But
you
yeah,
won't be able to see it at home.
No,
but take our word for it.
It's that poster.
Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
Yeah, I mean, you can Google search it, and you know you might be able to tell which poster I'm talking about.
Yeah, I might get one of those shirts. Those are cool.
Oh, hey, I like this one. It looks kind of like a Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, Appetite for Destruction.
Yes.
But yeah, I never.
Sorry,
I never saw Muppets Most Wanted.
Yeah, no, neither did I.
Yeah, the trailer really just didn't do it.
When I was at Disney this past summer, I went to the Muppets 3D or 4D show. And they had redone the pre-show video that you watch while you're sitting in line to reflect the Muppets Most Wanted. And so naturally I was like, oh no, did they redo the attraction to have this, you know, thankfully it was still the same one. But yeah, they had the weird, what was it, like French or German Kermit?
Oh, Constantine?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they had him running around causing mayhem. And had nothing to do with the show that we ended up watching.
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, you know, it just didn't.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I like the 2000, was it 11?
The Jason Segel?
The Jason
That was
Segel
good.
Muppets
That was great.
Yeah, I loved it. You know, it was kind of like almost like a greatest hits.
That was a really good one.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it was the good kind of fan service.
Who was your guy's favorite Muppet?
Gonzo.
Gonzo the Great?
Yeah. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I loved him. And that just made like a Muppet Christmas Carol that much better because he was the narrator.
Yeah.
With Michael Caine.
Yes.
I say, Pepe the King, was it fucking shit? Pepe the King Prano, okay?
Okay.
I like him a lot. Of the classic, it's Kermit, but like, you know, Pepe came in later, and he just, like, he wrote a self-help book that I have that is hysterical. And something about him, you know, he's a fucking king prawn, and like he, you know, he's got like a black turtleneck on, like on the front cover, kind of like, you know, give me life advice, okay?
I don't know if I know who you're talking about.
Oh, he's awesome.
He's my favorite. He usually plays the villain. Like he usually teams up with the villain and then tries to go back to the Muppets when he realizes they're wrong.
Okay, I know. Yeah.
The same guy does the Swedish Chef.
Yeah.
Same voice actor.
I like how I did a Google search for. I just put in Pepe, and the first suggested result was the king prawn.
And he always goes, okay, like after everything.
Yeah.
And like something about him, he's so funny to me.
Yeah,
like a Cuban Joe Pesci.
Yeah, I just want a Pepe the King Prawn movie, okay?
Yeah. he's cool. You know, I was always he voices my favorite Muppet, the Swedish Chef.
Mm-hmm.
Just this like goofy Orkin Blorkin like guy, just like.
Have you seen the ESPN commercial with him?
Oh yeah,
that's a great one.
Yeah,
when he talks to
Henrik Lundqvist.
Yeah, Henrik Lundqvist. Yeah, the New York Rangers goalie. Yeah. And he can understand what he's saying.
Yeah, he's Swedish.
And then the one anchor's like, "I'll take a hamburger." And he's like, "Oh, the broken." And he's like freaking out because he just slaved over this meal.
Yeah, he just made like this big Swedish like lucafish or whatever, and it's just like, oh, I'll get a burger. Oh, like he was my favorite, and he would team up with Danny Kaye, and he would be like his uncle, and they would just have like so much fucking fun. And of course, just the sight of this dude with no eyes.
Yeah.
Like there's something about that. I either like bug eyes or no eyes.
Yeah.
So
you go one way or the other, man. Don't half-ass it.
Much like how Jake loves masked acting, you love no-eyed acting.
yeah, no.
So you're gonna love the new Daredevil series.
Yes, but also bug eyes. So who's the green guy with Beaker?
Professor Melon something or other. Honeydew.
Yeah, so you get the best of both worlds there, because you've got a dude with no eyes, despite
Yeah.
the fact that he wears glasses, and you've got like poor old Beaker who
always gets fucked.
Yeah, and I love it. He's my Mr. Bill, I love Beaker too. Beaker is probably like a number 2.
Yeah,
for me.
I definitely put Beaker in my top 5.
Yeah, I always, whenever I do me and my sister, like, we'll kind of like glance at each other, and when we have nothing to say, we'll go meep meep, and that's what we're referencing. We're referencing fucking Beaker from the Muppets. Yeah, just so. I mean, this time of the year where I would love to watch Muppets Christmas Carol. That's definitely
That's Scrooged, as I've mentioned before, is my number 1 holiday movie. But like
your number 1. A guy,
Yeah, hey, there it is.
But Christmas Muppet Christmas Carol is definitely up there too, and Pee-wee's Christmas Special.
Batman Returns,
and
the
Die Hard.
Well, Batman Returns, I feel you could make.
I mean, that's definitely more of a Christmas movie. Die Hard just happens to take place at a Christmas party, whereas like Batman Returns is almost like. It pivots on the fact that it's Christmas.
Yeah, and the last line, Merry Christmas, Alfred, to all men, and goodwill to all men and women. Like, he has to think about that.
And then puppet Catwoman.
Yeah, because they couldn't get Michelle Pfeiffer to come in at the last minute. They're like, let's leave a little thing that she survived her encounter with Christopher Walken, who is now Captain Hook. In a
mask unscathed, by the way. That was something that always bothered me. That puppet Catwoman. At the end of Batman Returns, I'll let you get back to Christopher Walken.
Well, none of us saw Peter Pan live.
Yeah,
So
that's really all we have to say about it. That and Anna Kendrick's commentary was great.
Yeah.
One thing that always bothered me about puppet Catwoman at the end of Batman Returns is that her mask is intact, and
despite all the abuse it takes over the course of the film.
Yeah, and anyone that listened to our commentary for Batman Returns, like even probably remembers, the talking about how as her costume gets more messed up, so does her, psychology or
her sanity.
So like that was like kind of a big thing, and she didn't even have the mask at the end.
Yeah, she rips it off, but maybe that shows that she's back in control.
Yeah, she's back in the Gotham groove.
To have her puppet come up just wrecked would make no sense whatsoever.
It's like, I'm still alive, Bruce. Yeah.
Bruce, you left me for dead. Why do I sound like I've been smoking for all my life now?
You left me under the Christopher Walken skeleton. Oh. For me, that's, the Home Alone films, the first 2 anyway, are certainly, what movie?
Did you know there are 5 Home Alone films?
I know I've watched the first 3.
There are 5. I was recently rewatching them with one of my friends because it's her favorite Christmas movie. The first 2 are her favorite Christmas movies, and she and I hadn't really gotten to hang out for a while, so we watched them. And I just happened to be looking them up because oftentimes I have like Wikipedia open while I'm watching a movie, and I was like, "Holy shit! There were 5 of these."
Yeah, I mean,
I knew about the first 3.
Yeah, I knew about 4 had French Stewart. I knew that.
Okay, so I did know about 4 because I knew French Stewart was in one of them.
Yeah. So in the peripheral, but
But there was a 5th one that was like a straight to TV.
So was 4. I think.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was like ABC Family or something.
Oh, okay.
But A Christmas Story, Jingle All the Way. Those kind of rounded out.
Have Jingle All the Way on Laserdisc.
I have it on DVD.
Ooh.
But
oh wait, no, I have the Santa Claus on Laserdisc, not Jingle All the Way.
The first Santa Claus is good too.
Mm-hmm.
I like the first Santa Claus. I always thought Santa Claus the movie with John Lithgow as the bad guy kind of blew. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No.
It was produced by the guys that did produced the first 3 Superman movies. And it was basically like this like mythic retelling of how Santa Claus came to be. Like you see him, he's like
his rise to power.
Something like that. Like in the 1500s, he's like this wood carver in like in Scandinavia, and then him and his wife die and are reborn as as Mr. and Mrs. It fucking sucks.
Mrs. Klaus.
Yeah, you've got Dudley Moore as the head elf, and it just it blows out my asshole.
It's a great horror Christmas movie is Rare Exports. It takes place in Norway, maybe ish, something like that. And it's actually more about Krampus than anything else. But these guys actually like trap Krampus, and then like he breaks free and wreaks havoc on this town. It's great.
You got any Christmas movies, Jake?
Or Silent Night, Deadly Night?
The first Lethal Weapon,
which also happens to take place. Yeah, okay.
Much like Die Hard, it just kind of happens to take place during Christmas.
Die Hard has the now I have a machine gun, ho ho ho. That's Christmassy. Lethal Weapon, you get the lights and killing Gary Busey on your front lawn.
Yeah, I mean, the Running Man has Arnold Schwarzenegger yelling, "Hey, Christmas tree!"
Yeah, cuts him in half, I think.
No, he leaves. He lets him live.
Oh,
he cuts. There's another guy who his main weapon is a chainsaw, and he cuts him in half. Well, not even in half. He just kind of makes him sit on his chainsaw.
He does say he had to split.
Yeah, but no, he lets the Christmas tree live because he gets like trapped underneath his little go-kart.
Is Christmas Tree Man the one that like opera sings while he shoots electricity?
He's the opera Lord Raiden.
Yes.
mixed with Griff's sidekick Darth Vader dude.
Yeah.
From Back to the Future Part 2.
That's right. Yeah.
Or just like I got Lightning Lord Raiden playing laser tag.
There it is. I mean, it has that same kind of production value.
Yeah.
The another movie, a Christmas movie, I couldn't really get into. Surprisingly, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
I always found it too depressing. His life kind of sucks.
I
which is the
I'll
point.
I'll accept that. It is super depressing.
I get the point. I mean, yes, something has to drive him to suicide, and yes, he has to realize that through it all, he still has a wonderful life, and then all his family comes together. But
every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings.
Yeah,
that is that movie, right?
It is.
Okay, good. As soon as I said it, I became unsure of myself.
At least I think it is. It's either that or the Bells of St. Mary.
There was a great, and I can't remember the title, so sorry, but it's a World War I film about the Christmas truce they had.
It's called Merry Christmas.
Is it that
the one with Daniel Brühl and
I think so. Yeah, I mean, there's been a bunch.
Diane Kruger.
I think that's it. Yeah, that whole story is pretty fascinating and uplifting. Although it's messed up because like they pretty much just go right back to killing each other afterwards. But like, but to have that moment, was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that film. It's all right. It's okay. It's kind of schmaltzy, but okay. I'll take it over. It's a Wonderful Life. Maybe, kind of, sort of. You want the moon? Yeah, but yeah. In terms of Christmas, that's where I go.
Yeah, I'm my mom knows how much I love Scrooge. That she a couple Christmases ago got me the Blu-ray of it, and so
it's on Netflix. If you guys want to watch it.
Immediately popped it in my Blu-ray player, and I was like, "Cool, bye guys."
Yeah. Yeah,
have fun opening the rest of the presents.
If you've never seen Scrooge, great.
It's probably my favorite retelling of the Christmas. I mean, it's like I've said, it's my favorite Christmas movie. But in my opinion, it's one of the most original retellings of the Christmas Carol by Dickens, and which is one of probably my favorite Christmas themed stories. And I've always wanted to see like a straight up horror rendition of it. And like a while ago, I actually bought the book. Because I had never actually read it. I had only ever seen like the movie adaptations. I was like, I'm going to read this and I'm going to write my own like just straight horror, where he's actually being haunted by these ghosts. And I had all these great ideas. And then Christmas season passed and I was like, I don't feel like reading this.
Yeah. I mean, there are some horror elements to it.
Scrooge is scary too. Like at points, like especially when he meets up with the ghosts of Christmas yet to come.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is like depicted as the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, it's always that's always the most. That's because that's what scares him into changing, really. But yeah, I mean, so that sounds cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Christmas is. I think for Christmas, instead of movies, I do more TV. Like I don't really watch like. this is a family-friendly one, but Woodland Critter Christmas and Christmas in Canada from South Park are two great ones. Woodland Critter Christmas is an example where Matt and Trey had no idea what to do. That was the end of a run. They just done Team America. They were like, we don't know. And they just came up with it, like on the fly. Like, it was like Thursday or Friday. They were like, we still don't know what to do. And they came up with one of like the most famous episodes of South Park ever.
Yeah. Certainly one of the most twisted, but the
indeed.
Yeah, we talked about the Office Christmas specials. Those were always good. The Batman Christmas special where the Joker has that entire song. That's I remember that kids in elementary school singing that song after that episode aired.
Yeah. The Doctor Who usually does a pretty good job on their Christmas specials. I feel like those are some of the most quality episodes of Doctor Who.
Consistently, certainly.
Yeah. And I mean they had Morrissey in one of the Christmas specials.
David Morrissey.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't want to confuse people since
yes, because they're brothers,
like 2 months
related.
You know what? Shut the hell up.
And one of them's doucher and one of them's not.
Because everyone's brothers are exactly like them.
But they're not actually brothers.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
But I want to watch that one.
Yeah, it's good. The new Doctor. Yeah, it's a phenomenal episode. As is Tennant's debut, which is a Christmas episode. So I guess what we're trying to say here at Geek Out is Merry Christmas.
Even though it's not for a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll say it again.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Probably say it all this month.
Yeah, just to fuck with you all. Then people stop listening to the last like 30 seconds. We love it when we hear from you guys. We've heard from you guys lately, and that's always cool.
Yeah, it's always nice to have some feedback. Yeah. And recently, we've been getting some more consistent.
Yeah. So thanks for definitely thanks for the feedback. Let us know what some of your favorite holiday movies. Which Terminator you think sucks more?
Yeah.
Or is there anyone whose favorite Terminator isn't T2?
Yeah.
I would love to hear that.
That'd be exciting.
I would love to hear somebody say that Terminator Salvation, my least favorite, is their favorite, just so I can get into their mind space a bit and see. It's like, oh, okay, all right.
What's your favorite Bond movie? Why not? Because that's kind of a
they always air around Christmas, like on TBS and stuff. And On Her Majesty's Secret Service, my favorite Bond movie, takes place during Christmas.
Yeah.
So
anyone else think that that's a good Bond movie? Anyone?
Yeah.
Anyone at all?
Oh, shit. We didn't talk about the Bond announcement this week.
Oh, yeah. Well, we still got time.
Yeah.
People are used to us going on for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, we're just a little over an hour.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they just announced the new Bond movie this week, Spectre.
You're welcome.
Yeah. the Daniel Craig's fourth outing.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Mendes is directing again.
Mm-hmm.
John Logan's writing again. And Christoph Waltz is probably Blofeld.
Yeah. And Dave Bautista is... Oh, man, I knew what his character's name was.
Mr. Hanks.
Thank you. Who knows who that is?
Yeah,
I don't.
He's just going to be muscle for Blofeld, I'm
Probably,
assuming.
yeah. That's, not to try to typecast him, but I'm sure that's a good role for him to be someone's muscle.
He'll probably kick the shit out of Daniel Craig in at least one fight scene.
My peen will be hard.
And then die a classic James Bond villain death.
Well, maybe he'll go the way of Jaws.
Mm.
Maybe he'll survive.
Yeah. Maybe survive and come
maybe
back
he'll be in multiple movies.
Worse movie with, kind of destroying the character.
Daniel Craig is contracted for at least one more, right?
Yeah, and he's kind of indicating that he's like, after that, I'm done. Like, I'm not coming back.
I mean, he's done it 4 times now.
He'll be 49, provided they come out and keep the 2-year, every time schedule. He'll be like 49 by the time that last Bond movie comes out, and he'll just be like, fuck it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can tell it. I mean, he's aged so much since he first started out as Bond.
True. And Skyfall, it's about kind of him being
It's a midlife
older.
crisis. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. I'm certainly a fan of the cast. Monica Bellucci's one of the Bond girls, which is cool because she's like 51. So, it's good to see the... Because I always kind of get weirded out when it's like close to... Like when it's like 58-year-old Roger Moore with like chicks like in their 20s. I'm like, that's...
The mom is like younger than he is. Like the mom of the Bond girl is younger than him.
Yeah.
View to a Kill.
Yeah, that's
what.
what.
I'm sorry. View to a Kill.
It is View to a Kill. That's what led to him dropping it. As soon as he heard that, he was like, "Well, I'm too fucking old for this."
Yeah.
So I'm pretty stoked about that. It should be.
And just bringing Spectre back.
Yeah, now that they have the rights back.
In general, is a big deal.
Spectre, if you guys don't know, What we're talking about, not only is it the title, but so in the first Bond film, Dr. No, they introduced this evil organization called SPECTRE, basically this terrorist organization. And it was created by Bond series creator and novelist Ian Fleming and film screenwriter and producer Kevin McClory. And it was intended to be, they had written the script for Thunderball, and it was intended to be an all new original James Bond adventure tailor-made for the big screen. And in the 50s, it got stuck in development hell. It fell to the wayside, and Fleming just decided to publish it as the next James Bond novel on his own in 1961, a year before the series started. And Kevin McClory was not happy because he helped co-write, in his own words, helped co-create Spectre and Blofeld and all that shit, who's traditionally the head of Spectre. And I think he was infuriated, I'm sure, when the Bond producers kind of took elements from Thunderball, i.e. Spectre, for Dr. No, which originally he was just like this standalone guy. He wasn't part of this larger organization. And he actually successfully sued the producers into, he's the only Bond film, official Bond film anyway, not produced by any member of the Broccoli family. And I'm not making that shit up. Their last name's Broccoli.
Yep.
Is Thunderball produced only by Kevin McClory. And the stipulation was that they got to keep the rights, I think, for like 10 more years. And because in the late 70s, they lose the rights to Spectre. We've never seen Spectre since the 70s. There is a unnamed cameo of Blofeld in the beginning of For Your Eyes Only, but that's it. And so,
like, it's the same actor, but they don't actually credit him as Blofeld or something like that.
Well, it's very clearly it's
supposed to be Blofeld, but they don't name him.
You see this,
he's got the cat or whatever the hell.
Yeah, he's got the cat. He's bald and he's in a chair, and it's like, and then Roger Moore drops him down. It's Dr. Evil.
He goes out hard.
Yeah, he dies pretty.
I mean, if you think about it,
dies hard.
I mean, Spectre, is this presence in the Bond movies, but yeah, like Sam was saying, when you really stop and think about it, a chunk of Roger Moore's didn't have anything to do with it. All of Timothy Dalton and all of Pierce Brosnan, and up until this most recent point, all of Daniel Craig.
What about all of George Lazenby's?
No, George Lazenby's
of George Lazenby is Spectre.
Yeah. His Spectre is as you'll see, Spectre's a huge deal with George Lazenby.
Yeah, and so when Kevin McClory dies in 2006, and they get the rights back. So it's cool to finally, because Spectre is a big deal for Bond, for Bond canon and Bond lore. So it's cool to.
It's like Hydra being gone for a long time, and then bringing them back.
Yeah, for like Captain America or for Nick Fury. Yeah, absolutely. They're one of the most nefarious organizations. I would argue, they're almost synonymous with Bond villains.
Although watching Quantum of Solace, didn't you always get kind of the idea that that was Spectre?
And they're bringing in Jesper Christensen, who played Mr. White, one of the big officials for the Quantum organization in Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace.
Knees blown out in the end of Casino.
Yeah, so I assume that his organization is either rebranded
Spectre
itself as Spectre or been Spectre all along.
Yeah, it's just really cool because this is such a huge thing of the Bond mythos to be bringing in. It's just really exciting.
I'm still kind of mixed on how I feel about it as the title.
Yeah,
but it's not like no Bond movie has not has named their film after the villain before.
Yeah,
Dr. No, Goldfinger, Octopussy.
Yeah,
Thunderball.
Well, Thunderball is the name of the operation.
For Your Eyes Only.
It's the last thing that the Bond girl says right before she presumably gets just tanked by Roger Moore.
Yeah,
tanked is now my euphemism for sex, not drinking. I don't know. Yeah,
that could get confusing.
Yeah.
Man, I'm getting tanked by myself tonight.
Yeah.
Could be either.
By that euphemism, could you? Anyway, I think that's as good a note as any to to put the bow on this one.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Let us know all your, give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you guys, and thanks for sticking with the show, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for making November such a great month for downloads, too. We weren't sure, because we did so well in October. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to even match, but not only did we match, but we surpassed it by quite a bit.
So Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
And keep spreading it like wildfire.
Yep.
So thank you very much, and
Good night, Eric Bana.
Ciao. Bye.
One of these days, Sam will get a catchphrase.